RotoGrinders, non-stop NBA DFS conversation for tonight's big boy slate, an 11-gamer. It's a big boy slate, therefore we're going three-man booth, some usage delegated the way of Kid Yahoo, Kirkwood. Hey, this is our, a precursor to our final show for the NFL. Of course, the three of us kick off the show on the Sunday weekends, 10:30 in the morning. The information slate going down. Why do I mention that? You know how you see the lineup HQ tool during the show? Like, oh, that's pretty fancy. Watch the show, projection as far as minutes, projection as far as ownership, all the good stuff. The key plays that are highlighted. That's free. That is going to be free this weekend. NFL lineup HQ, free this weekend. Feel free to check that out at your own leisure. What's up there, Kirkwood? How are things in your world? I know you watched a lot of Sesame Street today. I wanted to know what the letter or any letters of the day are. You have nothing for me, but otherwise, we good to go.
It's every letter. Yeah, I'm cramming a little bit here, but we're good to go. I'm playing tonight, so I'm ready to get this going. And then we go right on to football. And then Bobby and I got to record our pod with JSU in the morning. Got a nice 2-game slate. I hammered the Celtics bet last night. I drove down there and
nice.
Smashed that, and that was easy. Sometimes God just gives you a gift. That was
an easy one.
Yes, it was the easiest bet of the year. It was after a massive blowout against OKC. They were looking ahead to Dallas anyway on a TNT. Yeah, the Celtics were going to come out, and Dallas isn't very good. So that was easy pickings, and got in some Cincy. I got a nice teaser in with some closing line value now today, so I'm feeling pretty good.
You put pants on, you left the house, you crossed the border, you put some bets in. You have any MMA bets?
That was last night. Actually, I was in crunch time, and I was chatting with Chat while I was driving to New Hampshire last night during crunch time. Because people were slandering.
You were driving.
No, I was driving, so it was dangerous. I had to stop myself. But people were slandering the Celtics, saying, after that law, and so I had to step in there.
Yeah, it's prior. Forget the fact you're driving. Priorities is you got to defend the Celtics. All right, fair enough. I'm glad that everything went well for you, Bobby. I was going to say returning champion. You were here on Wednesday, so
I was here on Wednesday. Yeah, now I'm back.
You're back.
Ready to go with Kirkwood. We just both watched Sesame Street all day, and it's cracking. We're ready to jump into this NBA slate.
Yeah, 11-gamer, like we said, big boy slate, a lot of bodies to monitor. We just had the Heat, the Heat doing Heat things out of nowhere. They dropped the Q tag on Tyler Hero, which is a late game, 10 o'clock, so we probably don't know if he's going to go until some point in the middle of the slate. And he dropped a doubtful tag on Caleb Martin. Other body parts that we're monitoring as far as the slate, the Clippers. I mean, it's the back half of a back-to-back, sort of. Like, I guess they played last night, sort of. Not a lot. Their starters were benched at the half, which is unprecedented. For the record, I think it kind of makes sense, sort of, because the game was over. I understand DFS people, and we're upset. And I saw people wanted refunds with the sports books. They bet overs on Clippers, which is hilarious. Every situation they want refunds. It's like, how could we know that our players would be benched at the half? They'd be down by 90. Kawhi and Paul George are both questionable. Darius Garland's got that thumb, so he's questionable. Any other big ones? Not really, but I'm sure something else is going to pop up on the show. Devin Vassell being ruled out opens up that San Antonio-Detroit game, which is a game that only DFS players love. No player is higher than 6.8K as far as the tag. It's the two worst defensive teams going at it. So I think that's what we're going to be talking about, getting excited about. Bobby, is there anything you want to focus on, anything you want to mention before we kind of go around the horn and go game by game? Situation you're monitoring, a favorite game you like, anything worth pointing out before we kind of dive in?
Not really. I think there's a ton of good spots. Probably interested in the Lakers a little bit. Tyrese Maxey, I don't know what his minutes are. I think they increased, so he's someone I have interest in, as well as Harden. I don't know. Couple
did you by
different
chance,
spots.
not to cut you off, did you by chance read the expert survey today?
I did not.
If you didn't, it's okay. But your boy wrote up favorite tournament play today is Tyrese Maxey because I was alerted by the way his minutes have crept up. He played 37 last game, but like granted that was an overtime game. But I think he showed the ability to play 37, 36, 35. And he's only projected right now, I think, for 32 last I checked. And he's a fine play at 32. Everybody benefits the absence of Embiid, but he's going to get a benefit of that. And I think his minutes might jump to maybe 34, 35, 36. And I like Maxey a good bit. I think he's really, really good for tournaments today. And especially if that ownership is pushed down, which I think it's going to be, not going to be 0, but it's not going to be like 20, I don't think.
Yeah, I have the same feeling as you do. I think we see an increase in minutes and the excess usage with Embiid being off the court. At 7K, I think he's a fine play.
But Kirkwood, Derek's the line of the day is W. Let's get those W's. Like Jameis. Jameis would say it's W, right?
Huh?
Jameis Winston eats those W's. He licks those W's. You don't remember this?
Eats the W's.
You never seen when he's trying to pump his team up and we got to eat a W today?
They memed it with like crab legs.
I mean, come on. You no clue, really?
No.
Do you go to Publix a lot, Dean?
Publix? Yeah, I do. Publix is like the home. In Florida, that's like the main. Yeah, I think yours is Wegmans, right? Isn't that the key up there?
Wegmans up here. Yeah, Wegmans up here. Market Basket. Me and Kirky both.
Oh, there was a stabbing at my Market Basket the other day.
My girlfriend was there.
I'm like the king of that place too, and he had the same kind of car as me. So some of my friends were like, is that you? In our group text. But
was it the one in Chelsea?
It was. Yeah, that's where I go.
Oh, yeah.
It was. It was over a parking spot.
That's of course. Yeah. Jeez.
Figures in Chelsea.
Like really?
It wasn't even a good parking spot.
There's a parking spot like 3 spots down. Then it becomes the principal, and nobody wants to give in. And you're arguing for a longer time than it would have taken to walk from the parking. All right. Hopefully everybody's okay. I don't know the rest of the details, but Kirkwood, do you have a thought as far as the slate before we kind of dive in here?
No, we got most of the news. I mean, basically, it's the Lakers are extremely thin, right? So
they signed somebody today. They signed Brown. Was that the guy's name? I'm trying to think the dude's name that they signed. They gave him a 10-day. Yeah, Sterling Brown, and he's probably going to play, I guess, because they're going to be without Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is going to be out for a bit. Troy Brown out as well. It's going to be the LeBron show and the Westbrook show.
The LeBron show. He's played 40 minutes the last 2 games. Insane usage. I mean, the guy looks fresh at this age. I wonder why, but he looks fresh.
He takes care of his body. That's why.
Okay. All right. But anyways, I mean, we got that, and then it's all about the Spurs Pistons game. I mean, the Spurs, it's a big deal with Devin Vassell being gone now. I mean, we know Keldon Johnson is number 1 offense. He's going to be the number 1 option, and he deserves to be. I mean, he's great. And this is a great matchup for them. But there's also going to be a lot of other good plays. I mean, I really like Trey Jones. And also, like you said, these are the 2 worst defensive matchups. So this is just everyone's priced kind of
cheap.
Fine. Yeah, kind of cheap. So it's just like load up on this game. That should be the chalk tonight, I imagine. And let's go. But I mean, there's guys like Jeremy Sohan, there's Pirtle, there's Trey. I really like Trey Jones, but there's some interesting little caveats to this game because they've been eating into Trey Jones minutes a little bit with what the heck is that guy's name?
Are you talking about Braham?
No, yeah, Malachi.
Yeah,
Branham. Yeah, he's been getting minutes all of a sudden, but one of those games was a complete blowout. The other one is a little concerning, but as long as this game's competitive, I imagine Trey Jones will be out there, and he's the facilitator on offense anyway. They're going to need him to add some extra shot creation. He's their number 2 guy left as far as usage with Vassell off the floor. So I mean, there's a ton of plays in that game, and then there's some other situations. I guess Jeremy Grant is kind of like.
He's questionable.
Yeah, that's kind of important. Tyler Hero obviously is pretty important, but it's not like drop everything important, these guys, because they're each of those teams are pretty deep at the moment. So, and then the Clippers, who knows what the Clippers are going to do, right?
Are they even going to play? Yeah, again, like the back-to-back stuff, we haven't seen Kawhi play in a back-to-back, but like he barely played last night. I thought George was going to sit last night. He mostly sat, but again, and he was all wrapped up. I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of those guys sit today. They did rule out Batum already, too, for what it's worth. Our dollar for dollar best plays going to speak to that Detroit San Antonio game. Dollar for dollar, DK wise, best plays right now. Josh Richardson, number one, a little bit over 6X. The big body of Keldon Johnson is the second best, and that's at 6.8K. I mean, to speak to what a strong play he is, typically the dollar for dollar plays, the best ones math wise, you're going to get 3, 4, 5K guys. Keldon at 6'8. Allen at 6'3. That's Jared Allen at 6'3. Cleveland's a good situation to watch as well because, of course, they ruled out Mitchell, and we don't know about Garland. He's questionable, too. That's a late game. And then another player, Detroit, Killian Hayes, is the next guy. And then the sixth guy is Jalen Duran, center and center only, dollar for dollar. Then we have Alec Burks is like 7th or 8th. So like 4 of the top 8 dollar for dollar plays are in that Detroit San Antonio game. But let's dive in. Let's go game by game. Very first game on the slate. You mentioned this one, Kirkwood. Jeremy Grant is questionable. Portland, Indiana, 237. That's a big boy total for sure. High and tight, right? Indiana just a 2-point favorite here. 7 o'clock game. As far as the body parts, I believe Indiana is fully healthy. Yeah, Atlanta's fully healthy. We're assuming Nurkic is good to go. He's been kind of on and out and in and out, but he's expected to play here. Grant's got that quad, so he's questionable. And GP2, Gary Payton II, came back for the old cup of coffee, and then he's hurt right away with his ankle. Winslow's still out also. What do you think here, Kirkwood? Despite that, I still don't really have any priorities in this game. There's some good stuff, sure, but I think there's better stuff for me. What are you prioritizing, if anything, in this game?
Eggs Benedict, baby. Benedict, is it
Mathurin?
Mathurin is he's a baller, man. I'm not kidding. He's legit good. He should have smashed last game, but they wouldn't give him any calls against the 76ers. I really am high on him going forward. So he's a guy I like. He's cheap. He's 4,500. This game should set up well for him. So I like that play. Obviously, you can always play Halliburton. Nurkic is extremely cheap on DraftKings. It's not the best matchup in the world if you think about it, because Miles Turner. But let me just double check something. But actually, from like a DVP standpoint, Nurkic, this is like the 5th best matchup that there is. So Nurk is too cheap on DraftKings. So I like that. If Grant is out, I think it gives a bump, obviously, a little bit would be to like guys like Josh Hart would see a little bit more action. But obviously, you can always play Dame. And that's the way. So I think Nurk is just too cheap on DraftKings. I like Benedict, and then I like Dame.
We do have a what if set up if Grant is out. The biggest value would it'd be Lillard. The tricky part of Lillard is he's expensive. You got to pay for him. And is he the top big spend or one of the top big spends? We would project him for around 51 DK points if Grant is out, 48 on Fanduel. So a fine play both places. Simons would be all right as well. I don't think it'd be a clear, it's just going to be chopped up amongst many players. Like Jabari Walker would get like a 17-point projection. I don't think that's useful tonight. Really not one just, 1v1. Like this is the guy that's all of a sudden going to jump up and you have to play. Nobody getting more than 10% here, Bobby, as far as our ownership. 9% on Lillard, 9.7 on DK. Miles Turner, 6%. Nurkic at 5%. Kirkwood's boy is getting 2%. Eggs Benedict. Is that his official nickname, or is this one that you gave to him?
No, it's just he's ever since he was a kid. So it's funny. His there's a family story behind it too. And they went out to a restaurant and they would call him Eggs Benedict, and he ordered it and he puked. He threw up and he didn't like it, but it always stuck with him since then. So I remember in his AAU days they were calling him that.
What city was that? His AAU days?
I can't remember.
You remember the AAU days, but you forget what city? You're like
Dean drilling him. You can't drill him, Dean.
Well, if you're going to make up a story, I'm going to
why do you get to question this? Take him his word. Just like Eric Gordon the other night, Dean. Just take me at my word.
Was he good? I guess he was okay, right? Who likes to play Eric Gordon in the year 2022?
He was in Space Jam, though, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Did you know that, Kirkwood? Eric Gordon was in Space Jam.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Sure.
He actually tried out for what was that movie that Ray Allen was in?
He got game?
Yeah, he didn't get it.
Jesus
And they always kept him as like a guy with acting, and then they gave him Space Jam. Yeah.
Ray Allen's like 15 years older than Eric Gordon.
Believe it or not, they're actually a little bit closer than you think. Yeah.
All right. Bobby, give me your thoughts as far as this game.
Yeah, so for me, like with Grant out, it's really going to be split between Winslow and Little, like in terms of like some usage, but I think it really gets chopped up, like you said, between Lillard, like you said, Dean, Lillard, Nurkic, and Anthony Simons. I think I'd like Nurkic here. Kirky kind of hit on it being a better matchup DVA wise, so defense versus archetype. So Lillard and Nurkic would probably be my two favorites. It is an 11-game slate, though. Just keep that in mind. And on the other side, Halliburton, like I'm seeing him under 5%. He seems like an interesting tournament play. His price has now come down to $9K. So I wouldn't mind getting to him. Miles Turner at 6,700. It's in large, like, I don't know. He's fine. I'm just trying to go over Buddy Hield, 6,200. I don't mind the tag on him. Benedict Mathurin is 4,500. I didn't realize that play, so it was nice that Kirky kind of pointed that out.
He doesn't play enough.
Him to my player pool.
I want to play more minutes. It's kind of my issue. He's
31 minutes isn't it good enough for you at 4,500?
We're projecting 26. You give me 31, yeah. I'll take it.
He got 31 in 2 of his last 4. I mean, there's risk there for sure, but he's earning more minutes every game. He is legit a baller.
Again,
I don't know if have you watched much of him?
Yeah, I'm aware of his existence. Sure,
I know, but have you watched much of him? You really dug in. I've
seen him play. I can't sit there and tell you that like I know like what his tells are and like if he. Yeah, I can't tell you that much, but from what I've seen of him, I think he's legit. I think he's gonna be decent. I don't know if he's gonna be like a star quality type player, but I think he's got a shot at it. We shall move on. There's 11 games. The Bulls, the Sixers, 231.5 is the total. Chicago is a 5-point dog here, just 5 points because Joel Embiid's not playing basketball tonight. The only player out tonight for Philadelphia. Chicago, we have a little bit in the backcourt, some guys that are questionable. Caruso, Javonte Green. If Caruso doesn't go, we're already projecting Ayo Dosunmu to draw the starts. The absence of Embiid certainly leads to a boost in usage for James Harden, for Maxey, across the board. It benefits Tobias Harris. We did see Tucker start at the 5 last game. I know some people wanted it to be Harrell. Some people wanted it to be Paul Reed. Paul Reed dropped that DMPCD. Didn't even get some backup center minutes last game. I mean, they still have, Yang as well. Vuk is a pretty tall guy. If they run some Drummond, they'll probably need some size, the backup 5. I think Harrell's in play, but, probably Tucker starting again. We'll see. Stay tuned. He did play really, really good last game for what it's worth. Bobby, you mentioned Maxey. Maxey and Harden, I think, are both really appealing here. I assume you like them both, but, they're different price points, obviously.
Yeah, I think both are in play. Obviously, Embiid comes out and you're removing a huge usage piece, so I have no issue getting to Harden. And then with Maxey, we kind of hit on into the top of the show. $7K price tag. He's going to see the usage increase. His minutes have been trending upward, as you pointed out on the expert survey today, Dean. So
thank you for supporting.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you the credit. 7K on DK, we can do that. I don't mind some Maxey.
Currently, only 6% projected owned on DK, which again, I love that number. If it's like 9 or 10, I think that's pretty appealing. Vuk getting 20% on DK to me seems a little bit high. That seems a little high for my liking. Obviously, a little bit better matchup, the absence of Embiid, but there's a lot of centers in this slate, and him being in center and center only. I'm not going to say you can't play Vuk, but I don't love him at 20%. Harden At 15, that's just more of anything else. Price is keeping us from just locking him in there. Looks awesome. Tobias is 15%. Double D is DeMar DeRozan, 13%. Levine, I think dollar for dollar might be the best one amongst those three Bulls at 11%, 7-3 on TK. What's your take here, Kirkwood, as far as Harden? You have a thought as far as Maxey? Who's your favorite Sixer?
All right, I have a few thoughts in this game. So, I've watched a lot of Harden lately. I've played a lot of Harden lately, and he does not look very good to me. He had that really nice stretch, but to me, he looks like he's breaking down already a little bit, like because of the minutes they've just been crushing him with.
Most in the league.
It's a challenge with him, and if he's not getting calls, it can get a little bit ugly. He padded his stats with some little like defensive stats in overtime and at the end of the game, which was nice because his offense was not working whatsoever. He was airballing threes. He couldn't blow by anybody and get to the rim. It was just it wasn't a good look for him. So I'm kind of lower than him. Now Maxey looks awesome.
There you go.
And so I'm on board with Maxey. He's dirt cheap on Yahoo over there. He's like 21 or 23 or something. So he's like a must play over there tonight. But I like him on all sites. And so I'm there. Montrez had a really good game the last game and got a lot of good coach speak from Doc. And, Doc is kind of attached to this guy over from some of his Clippers days too. So, everybody wanted Paul Reed and wanted to make Paul Reed happen. And I think people still played Paul Reed, even though he wasn't starting and got the DMP. But I don't see why they wouldn't, whether it makes sense or not. I think Doc is going to play him again. And if you tell me what Harrell, yeah. Now, if you tell me that Harrell's going to be in there for big minutes guarding Vooch, give me Vooch all day. He's going to score at will in this one, if that's the case. So that'll be something that I'm interested to watch. So I do like Vooch, and I know he hasn't had the greatest season, and I get it. And him and Levine have kind of struggled, and it's been kind of DeMar's team. But I just think this is a really good spot to play him. So I'm not too scared of that ownership. It's kind of high, but I think there's a good reason for it. PJ Tucker got a little bit banged up in the last one.
Yeah, he's got multiple body parts that are kind of he's just kind of dealing with.
I mean, it's about time to just break down, buddy. PJ, like
he's had a good run. He was always kind of like one of those guys that would always play basically every game.
He's extended his time a lot. Like we thought he was done in like Toronto, and then like he's had a great career. Good sneaker collection too. Great.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to butt in.
I don't get that culture. Like there's some cultures I don't understand. Like, people collect sports cards, like collecting of sneakers. I don't get it, man. Do you guys partake?
I collect sneakers kind of, but I don't want more. The longer you live in city, like the more space matters.
Yeah.
And so you just have kind of dwindled down, but although I have a storage, I have a storage unit. I have some sneakers in a storage unit, as Bobby would know.
Yeah.
What else is in the storage unit? Can I go bid on it and say, yeah?
There's there's really high end like DJ equipment back from like
very heavy
Techniques 1200s. Those are like.
What was your DJ name? Do you have a DJ name?
No,
Kirk D's.
You didn't have one? Oh, you give everybody a nickname and you don't have your own personal nickname?
I was like Prince. I was a symbol,
That was a good one.
Oh my God! If I ever get married, will you DJ my wedding?
I'll show out. I'll throw a picture out there to you with me back in college on the decks,
on the ones and twos.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm learning a lot this show for sure. What about okay? Is there anything else? I actually like Vuk. I don't disagree, but I was just surprised by that ownership. If nothing else. DJ Kid Yahoo is what they're calling in the chat. There you go. That works. Anything else that we should stress here? You can play DeRozan if you want, but there doesn't seem to be any particular reason why. Nothing jumping out. He's fine, as he's always fine. Revenge game for Vuk. It's like a 17th revenge game for. He played for Philadelphia many, many years ago. He barely played for him, right? He was involved in to the Dwight Howard trade. I think it was Dwight Howard. Is that correct? Anybody? Bueller? Moving on.
It was. Yep.
All right, New York. 7 o'clock games are down. Knicks at Toronto, 217 is the total. As far as body parts in this game, I think we're pretty clean. Of course, RJ Barrett is out for a while. Everybody else good to go for New York and Toronto. Fully healthy unless you count Otto Porter. I am not counting Otto Porter. Set the table here, Kirkwood, as far as New York and Toronto. I do think the most interesting thing about this game, if you like to stack things up especially, you have the two coaches that just don't care, right? They will play their guys 40 minutes, right? We got Nick Nurse. We have Tibbs. We could get 40 minutes of Randall, 40 minutes of Pascal, maybe even more. I do think that's interesting. We're projecting 40 for Randall, 30 for Pascal. We can get 40 for Brunson, 40 for FEV. So that's my one thought as far as this game. Biggest ownership guy in this game is Quickly on DK. I think it's a little high personally at 28%. There's some meat in that bone, but seems a little high to my liking. What do you have here, Kirkwood, as far as Toronto and New York?
So Quickly's like a fine play, but he's projecting high because you're seeing these like Dallas, San Antonio, Houston spots when they were also without Jalen Brunson. But it's a completely different situation with Brunson back now. He's fine, but you see, like, even in his game against the Spurs, best defensive matchup you can get, he went for 34 fantasy points in 46 minutes, right? Like, so his usage is down. So you see in those two spots when Brunson was out, he had 30 and 31% usage, but then you see him drop to 18 and 13%. So Quickly is like a okay play, but like I'm all set in tournaments whatsoever with him. So give me Jalen Brunson from the Knicks. I would like Julius Randle. He's been crushing. I've been playing him nonstop, but they just have too many guys that can shut him down, like with OG and Siakam. I think this is going to be a frustrating game for Randle, but Jalen Brunson is going to score at will, I think. So I really like Brunson in this one.
So the defense versus archetype matchup tool gives Brunson the third best matchup in basketball against Toronto if you call him a distributor. Randall, by the way, 11th best, so it's not horrific, but I do agree with your thought process. I think Brunson's a better play than Randall in the old vacuum. What's your thoughts here, Bobby, as far as New York, and then feel free to jump to Toronto.
Yeah, so it's weird. I don't really like a ton in this game, and all these guys are going to play significant minutes.
You should like them, right? You feel like you should like them.
I feel like I should like them, yeah, but it's an 11-game slate. I like the Brunson call. He's fine. You guys just hit on all the reasons why. Quickly at 6'3", Kirkwood kind of I didn't really know that his production would kind of be hindered a little bit, but otherwise he was someone that I was considering. Now I'll have to reconsider. On the Toronto side, Van Fleet at 7,400. I don't mind that. He's going to see. We have him for 38 minutes. Fantasy point per minute guy. Never mind getting to some Freddie Van Fleet in tournaments. But outside of that, like, not really a ton. You could play Pascal, obviously, at 10-2. Gary Trent's kind of priced up now, I feel like. He's been hot, too. I've been playing him. I think it's time to get off. Yeah, that's pretty much it for not much in this game for me.
Did that game go overtime? Must have went overtime, right?
Yeah, so that game was the most the game was the most ridiculous game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I've ever watched.
They came back by like 23. They were
so
down
I was
23.
Yes.
I was sweating. I was sweating against Giannis. And, they pull out Giannis with like 5 minutes left and the game was like completely over, right?
20-point game, at least.
It was over that. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And they just kept knocking down 3 after 3. And then to go into overtime, it was the worst call. They didn't call a foul on I don't remember who it was, but on Bobby Portis. And so
it was a blatant foul.
It was a blatant foul, but then he got pushed out of bounds, and so then they called him out of bounds. They gave him the ball, and they went down and hit a 3, and they went into overtime. But anyways, Gary Trent Jr. I think is still playable on DraftKings because the 3-point bonus. He's 5,800. He's locked in. He's in the zone. The Knicks don't guard the 3-point line well. They're 22nd in opponent made threes per game. So I don't think I get it. Like I think I kind of agree with Bobby saying like I think it's time to like get off, but I think he's got a little more juice left in the squeeze here in this one on DraftKings at least. I would be hesitant to play him on FanDuel or Yahoo for sure, but I kind of like him.
45 minutes, 23 shots taken last game by Trent, and he was 8 for 23 from the field. He still got there. Yeah, it's.
Are we overlooking Randall at 10-6, or you think OG and Siakam stifle him?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm on Brunson in this one, and I like Van Fleet too.
Question in the chat: do we Carrots the second lowest total on the board? I mean, yes, sure, but I just think that the way the slices are going to be cut up, like it's so clear. Like if this game, who's going to do well in this game, that like I'm not like running away. Like I won't really refuse to play. I'm not refusing to play this game because of the total, because I know who's going to get like all the fantasy points thrown their way, assuming nothing goofy happens, right? So, long story short, I'm okay playing Toronto.
Have you seen what they're doing to Scotty Barnes now?
What are they doing with Scotty Barnes?
He's become like the Ben Simmons. He refuses to take threes because he's been so bad that they just do not guard him at the 3-point line, and it doesn't matter. And then
he took 4 last game.
He had a very good fourth quarter the other night.
Yeah, he backed up. He did that little back down, that little hook.
He's like he's throwing up a hook shot. He's like 6'6", and it's going down every time.
When Evan Mobley's in the Hall of Fame, people are going to be like, "Wait, Scotty Barnes won Rookie of the Year instead of Evan Mobley? What happened?" I think Barnes is fine, but come on, Evan Mobley.
It's the NBA, so Scotty Barnes can make the Hall of Fame too.
I think they have the easiest path to the Hall of Fame, if not mistaken. Speaking of Ben Simmons, he's up next. The Nets at the Pels, 231 is the total. Pelicans are 4-point dogs at home, in part, largely, because they're going to be without Zion. They're still without Ingram, who's got that toe. Brooklyn, the only thing on their side is TJ Warren. He's got that rib. He's questionable. We may see Larry Nance come back with his shoulder. He's questionable. And also Willie Hernangomez is questionable with his ankle. So all the bigs, a lot of bigs for New Orleans. 2 are definitely ruled out. 2 more potentially ruled out. Brooklyn has been awesome of late. If you pull up like last 10, last 15 games offensively, best team in basketball, offensive rating 120.4, 2 points ahead of the next team, which is New York last 15 games. And even defensively, they've been good, top 5. So Brooklyn has fully turned their season around. And New Orleans obviously just kind of beat up here. I'll throw it to you, Kirk. We talk about liking Lillard, we talk about Halliburton, we talk about playing Randall. It's just these names, and then there's Durant. He's one more big spend. Like, where is he in the power rankings of big spends for you? Because it doesn't look like he's going to get a ton of ownership. Ditto with Kyrie. Ditto the entire team.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good spot for him too. So and he's going to be low owned tonight. Doesn't look like he's getting much love. So I think they're on Friday night on a big slate like this, he's overlooked, and so this is a time to get some shares of him. I think he probably has the better matchup between him and Kyrie. I think they'll probably put Herb on. Who is Herb still in, right? Yeah. Herb's in. So I think they'll put Herb on Kyrie.
ESPN game.
Yep. And a huge part of the success of Brooklyn has been on the shoulders of Nicholas Claxton.
Nicholas, not Nick.
It's Nicholas.
Formal view.
Yes.
But you're not playing.
Did you watch White Lotus yet?
Yes, of course.
So you know Nicolo?
Yes.
Okay. So we can call him Nicolo. There's a great seed that.
Which season did you prefer amongst the White Lotus?
So, my fiance loved the first and didn't like the second. I thought the second was like incredible. I thought it was even better. I mean, they're both great. I mean, Armand was an electric character, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
they tried to duplicate that to some degree, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the opposite. Like, Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, you were top.
But she wasn't like likable, like like Armand was just a nut, right? Like he was just.
We gotta
crazy.
put out a Twitter poll for that one. I wonder what the people say. I like them both. I don't really have a definitive answer. Did you watch these?
I think it's two. I think it's getting better and better.
Which one? I didn't watch Lotus. My girlfriend's watching it. What was the other one?
Well, there's two different seasons. We're asking which season you prefer, but you've seen that.
I haven't seen either. Yeah, I thought you were talking about two different shows. I was looking up Durant for a second.
What do you got?
Anyway,
anything interesting?
Nothing interesting. So sub 9K. I liked Kyrie a little bit. But now Kirkwood's telling me he's going to see Herb Jones. Does it matter with Kyrie though?
Not really. I mean, he can take anybody. But it also, it's like when he's rolling, like he had he does take the path of least like resistance. So like against the Detroit, he was going nuclear, but it was a blowout, right? Like because like he had Killian Hayes, like they had no answer. So it was just Kyrie time. He just absolutely smashed. But like if he sees any sort of like trouble tonight with like Herb Jones, he's just gonna just be passive. It'll be like a passive night, and it'll be like Durant who will get going. So my feeling is that he's gonna struggle tonight in Durant. Now, if Kyrie was like alpha Kyrie and like really took it to him, no one can stop him, right?
Yeah.
But like, will he? Is the question I have.
By the way, Grant and Nurkic both in. Peyton out for Portland. So, yeah, not a big deal. Peyton was going to play a ton of minutes anyway. They're still kind of bringing him back. And Nurkic and Grant good to go. So, nobody getting a distinct bump.
That kills Portland for me pretty much.
I mean, Lillard's still, fine. But, again, he's not in the top three for me. Of course, if you're running 150, I think he's got to be in your pool. But no priorities on Portland.
Nurk at 6K is worth playing. I'm sorry,
I'm not saying he's worth playing, but is he going to be my first lineup? I don't think so. First three, probably not.
Take the L.
Well, you tell me. Is he going to be in your first lineup?
I have no idea.
You just want.
I'm just building with everybody right now.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
But Nurkic at 6K just looks pretty good to me in this match.
I'm open to it. I'm not shutting the door. His thing obviously is like how many minutes they're going to give him, because it's the defense versus archetype matchup is awesome. I think it's the best in basketball for post bigs against Indiana, but we're giving him 26 minutes. They're just I can't trust him, and he theoretically could get there in 26 minutes, right? But is that what you want?
It's a tight spread, so
he actually destroyed Charlotte like a few games back, but
it was an illness, so you got to he played the other day on Wednesday against Minnesota, so it was an illness, so you got to, and that was like his game back, right? Like, so you got to figure he's like normal Nurk tonight.
He always has something though. They push his minutes down just in general. What's his average minutes per game this year? Like 27?
They're all over the place.
That's why I said average.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. It's been all over the place this year. But for tournaments, I guess that you kind of embrace that. And maybe he catches 30 minutes tonight. To the game we're talking about, as far as Brooklyn and New Orleans, one of the more popular plays as far as salary savers on the Pelicans tonight. Marshall,
Najee.
I believe. Yeah. How do you feel about that as chalk? We only have him at 15% ownership. I think he's probably going to be higher than that. He's got small forward, power forward eligibility on DK. 5K there. I think on Fanduel, he's going to be more popular. I'm pretty sure. I'm just checking right now on the fly. We got 65% ownership. That doesn't matter. Hold on. We got to do a refresh on this. Can it be that high? It's going to be a big number for sure, but 65 seems outrageous. What's your thoughts, Kirkwood? Is that good chalk?
I think he's fine. I think what he did against Houston the other night is about as good as you're ever going to get with him. Like 33 minutes, he scored almost 30 fantasy points. He shot average. He knocked down a couple threes. He got, I guess he didn't get really any steals and blocks, and that's potential for him. But he's a really good passer. I just don't think he has that high of a ceiling. So I don't. I think he's fine to use if you like your overall lineup, but he's certainly like, I think he's more of a fade in GPPs.
Bobby?
I'm like 33 fantasy points, getting 36 minutes with Ingram and Williamson out. I feel similar to Kirkwood, but I don't mind getting to him. Like I could see why, if he's going to be extreme chalk, you would be on the side of fading at that price tag. So it is an 11-game slate. Stuff could open up.
By the way, it went down a little bit. I did a refresh as far as ownership on FanDuel. Marshall at 51%. Even that is outrageous. And it's small forward only. Teammate Trey Murphy also getting 21% on FanDuel. CJ McCollum getting 15%. You know, his usage, of course, is going to shoot up in the absence of Zion and the absence of Ingram. On DK, CJ McCollum is getting 8% because, you know, it's kind of baked in as far as the price. What about the Valanciunas dance here, Bobby? Are we just waiting on the Nance news, waiting on, like, if Nance is out, Valanciunas, of course, has a cleaner route to close. If Nance is back, I would guess Nance closes, assuming he's full go. Hernan Gomez also lurking, is questionable. You know, I guess it's not. I'm just thinking about body parts and just bigs that might be around the steal spots from away from Jonas. But your take there is, do you like Jonas if Nance doesn't go? You think Nance is interesting if he plays?
If Nance is in, I think I could have some interest. Joval, if Nance is in, I don't think I'd have any Joval if he's out. Joval would be someone I'd like to get to. Hernan Gomez and Jackson Hayes would also see increased minutes in that situation. So I would max one of the three of them if you're playing 150. I think it was pretty much the same rule the other night. But you're not going to get much of them anyways. I probably, if Larry Nance is out, I'd be willing to go to Joval.
Kirkwood?
Yeah, same. I mean, Joval is so hit or miss. I can't predict him, right? You tend to shy away from him in fast-paced matchups. He played pretty well against Houston the other night. And, you know, Brooklyn's not playing very fast this season. So I think he should have a monster, you know, size advantage, at least like a monster girth advantage.
How many fantasy points is girth worth?
I mean, if he can bang down low, I think it's.
Yeah, you got no up the way. Nance, Hernan Gomez, game time decisions.
What do you value, length or girth more? I don't know.
It depends what we're talking about. I mean, for Nurkic, we're talking girth, right? But Nurkic and Valanciunas are similar in that they're highly variable, right? As far as predictability, I think they have two of the bigger variances, right? You're talking about, you never really know with Jonas. I feel the same way about Nurkic. And sometimes you sort of feel what's going to happen, and then also they can get 2 quick fouls, and you're just struggling right out the gate. Those things happen as well too. We should put that in the poll, by the way. Producer Steve, length or girth. We'll see what the chat has to say. Mark's telling us Happy New Year. Yeah, how rude of me! I have not said Happy New Year to Kirkwood. I know it's the 6th, but Happy New Year officially.
I haven't got a Happy New Year either.
Did I not give it to you on Wednesday? I assume I did. How rude of me!
I didn't get a Happy New Year though.
Oh my God, I apologize. Happy New Year.
May this be the best year you've ever had in DFS.
Thank you, Lex. Yeah, I appreciate that. Mark wants to know who the
are you going to the Super Bowl party?
Yeah, that's the plan. I think I'm going to be there. Yeah, sure. Are you?
I got to figure it out.
You have a child now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in negotiations.
I'm in negotiations too.
So. Oh, you guys got to get a group rate and like somebody that can watch the kids together or something. Yeah, hopefully you guys can make it. That'll be unfortunate if you can't. But Mark wants to know the lock play on FanDuel. He did say Happy New Year, so we got to give him a lock. Do you have a lock tonight here, Kirkwood?
Yeah, Bobby's King FanDuel, so.
Am I King FanDuel? Yeah. Who do I like on FanDuel?
So can I tell you guys about FanDuel?
I'm not really sure.
Sorry, can I go off on a tangent? Or no, they probably sponsor the show, so I probably
they sponsor Crunch Time. So I mean,
yeah, I'm not gonna. But I've had a locked account since December 7th on FanDuel, and I cannot get anyone to help me. I'm going crazy.
Do you hit the button to show that you're a human?
someone was trying to get into my account. Remember that period where like all these like accounts were getting hacked?
I know it happened with DK. I heard about that. It
happened
now
all,
I have
like
a
a bunch
double
of
phone
companies.
verification.
So someone like tried, like I got an email saying like, you've run out of times to, your account is locked because, too many times. Please reset your password. And it wasn't me. And so it said, if it wasn't you, contact Fanduel. So I contact support and tell them that it wasn't me. Someone's trying to get into my account. And they said, okay, they have to put a lock on it. Someone will get back to me for a review. And don't worry, they definitely will get back to me. 2 weeks go around, nothing. So then I go back to support and they tell me, yep, we know no one, they tell me to not contact them again because each time I contact them, I go back to the end of the queue.
Oh.
So and then still now nothing. So now I caught like my VIP rep who I had throughout the years. I contact him, but he's on paternity leave. I get the automatic reply. He's on paternity leave until February. So I sent a thing into the VIP support. I still haven't heard back yet. It's just mind-boggling. I tried to deposit $6,000. And that I can't. They won't let me.
I've been trying to raise my limit on that site for years. Can't do it.
So anyone, if Fanduel has like somebody help me, please.
The weird thing, they're trying to break into your DK. They're trying to break into your Fanduel. Like Shark Money, break into your Yahoo.
Idiots. Idiots. Your kid, settle down, please.
I'm not encouraging this behavior. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to do it, at least do it right. Again, in no way do I want that to happen. We got anything else here as far as Brooklyn, New Orleans, anything coming out? Okay. This is the main event. Detroit. By the way, you want your lock play on FanDuel. I think it's Keldon Big
Tyrese Maxey.
Ooh, I like that call. That's a good call, too. Detroit Pistons, 236 as far as total.
I mean, LeBron. Isn't LeBron the lock?
I mean, he's awesome, sure. But like, he's got to put up at least like 60 to be a lock, right? Like, if you're not happy, he puts up 52. You're not mad. That's not what you want, right? Like,
yeah,
Keldon's
the lock, right?
He's a really, really, really strong play. 236 is the total here. San Antonio versus Detroit. Yeah, it's high, it's tight. Tankathon game. Like, both these teams theoretically probably should not want to win this game, but yeah. As far as San Antonio, they're going to be without Devin Vassell. I think he's going to be out for a while. I think it's knee surgery he's having. So no Vassell tonight, meaning Johnson. Johnson gets a boost as far as his usage. I believe it's at 31%. I was looking at it earlier today. Nobody is even at 22%. He's the clear guy as far as a top guy as far as usage. Richardson, the back-to-back, is available. KBD, Bates, Diop. Wait, back-to-back. Did they play yesterday? They didn't play yesterday, right? Why did I say that? I don't think they did. Detroit still without Bagley. A lot of good pieces in this game. A lot of cheap pieces in this game. I'll throw it to you, Kirkwood. Kelvin Johnson, phenomenal. It's the best matchup he can have. He can't play against his own team, the Spurs. The Spurs are the worst defense in basketball. So he can play against practice. He doesn't get any points for that. But the second worst defense to play against is the Pistons. And, defense first archetype, it's the best matchup. So it's micro, macro, awesome for Keldon, Smash City. I don't know what else there is to say about him, Kirkwood. And how about his teammates? Pirtle is really cheap on DK, 5'8", is pretty appealing. Sohan's got a nice price at 4'6". I don't mind Trey Jones at 5'7". And then we'll talk about the Pistons. Even, Richardson as a 6-man off the bench looks pretty solid. How much do we like the Spurs here?
Well, the great thing about this is, theoretically, we don't have to worry about blowout risk, right? Like, if it happens, it happens. But, there's not an increase. These are two bad teams, the two worst defensive teams. So, Keldon's usage is going to be insane. This is going to be elite level usage now with Vassell out. And, it's not like him playing like the Knicks the last game where they have, guys that can shut him down, although he still had a decent game. But this is going to play like a G League game, for the most part, right? These are two young, bad teams, and they're so this is going to be this is what you wait for in DFS. These are the gold lines, and it's nice that it's on such a big slate. Now, ownership is it's no secret right? So you want to figure out some ways to play this a little bit differently in GVPs and whatnot. But like, there's a ton of good plays. Keldon is my absolute favorite, right? Josh Richardson's the one that scares me. The price is great. Everything says like he should be, fine. If you take Vassell off the court, the usage goes up and yada yada. And he played 29 minutes last game, but like, he's an old vet now for this team. And this team, like, that's a little scary to me in this kind of matchup here in a game like this. So I don't know. Something tells me like he's so cheap. I get it, but he's the one that could bust.
35% ownership seems outrageous for a guy that's going to play 25 minutes off the bench.
I think it has a lot to do with the position eligibility on top of the fact that he's 3,800 because he's power forward and small forward. I mean, point guard and small forward.
I think you're supposed to get under that, though. What do you think, Bobby? If you're running,
I think you're supposed to get under that too. Keldon's definitely my favorite. Podol at 5'8", I don't mind. I don't even mind some Sochan. What's Sochan's price?
I like him.
He's 4,600. I don't mind getting to him. Trey Jones. Trey Jones is one of those guys for me. It's always a tough roster, but I think if you're playing 150, you'll definitely have exposure to him. On the Detroit side, there's a couple good spots. I don't mind Sadiq Bey at 4,300. He had the game winner a couple nights ago. I feel like his roles kind of. I'm surprised.
In Golden State, no less.
In Golden State, yeah. You like to see that. Beef stew. I think that's 4,800 for Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
I don't mind that a little bit. Jalen Duren's 4,900. I don't mind that. Killian at 5'5". I think he's another guy you can consider. Like, I was sitting last night, I forget what game it was. We were watching I was like, Houston. Who did Houston play last night? My girlfriend looked over at me and was like, "Oh, it's Houston and
I watched this game. Utah
in the Utah Jazz. This is what we're watching tonight. This is pretty much the same situation. She'll do the same thing again tonight.
I mean, San Antonio gets absolutely ravaged inside, the third most points in the paint. You mentioned Beef Stew. Beef Stew lives in that paint. He also theoretically can step out in a three as well. Jalen Duren, center and center only, but like he's a guy that can get you a cheap double-double as well. If I was running 150, I think I would put a rule, Bobby. And I don't have a lot of experience doing this. Like at least one player from each side of this game. Like I would have like one on each side. Like, is that weird to do? Is that
I think projections give you that, right?
Probably. Like if you're gonna manipulate, if you're not manipulating anything, you're gonna get organically. You'll get at least one spur. I don't know if you get like one Detroit guy in every lineup, but that
killed everybody with the Celtics on the OKC night.
Oh yeah.
Everybody ran back OKC with like at least one or two Celtic players.
I don't think you need the run back, but you'll get it. So yeah. Zach Collins, what do we think of him at 4K?
No thank you.
I don't think he gets enough run.
Yeah,
it's my concern.
My question is, why is Bojan like low owned tonight?
Yeah, I have no issues with that.
I mean, this is the guy who has like the ceiling for this team. I mean, his usage is high, plays big minutes.
He gets the most minutes in
competitive games. He's can absolutely go off. He's definitely their best fantasy producer, and he's for some reason. I mean, he's not too expensive. Like he's 6,300 in this spot. Like if this is, I'm expecting this game to play close and be a gold mine, then I don't get why he's so low owned here.
I think we should talk about Burks too because he fills a tough position at shooting guard. Yeah,
I don't talk me into Burks. I never like playing old man Burks.
I hate playing him too, but I think it works within the construction of just the general build tonight. Just because he has the shooting guard.
Kirkwood, this is your platform. You said you like him. Sell us on Burks.
I do like him. I also like Irish Red in that game too as well.
I see you're reading chats.
Official nickname, Killian Hayes.
As of 12 seconds ago.
Burks is going to be fine, right? Like he's got some offense to him. This is a good steal matchup for any of these players. The San Antonio gives up the most steals per game. So
I think it's Houston.
No, it's San Antonio is for
I think it's Houston.
I'll pull it up right now. Nope, it's San Antonio.
Is it?
Yep.
Hold on a second.
Houston 28th.
No, Houston gives the most. 8.7 per game.
I
don't know where you're looking.
Opponent steals per game 9.2.
Well, I see 8.7 for Houston. You're carrying the one or something. I see Houston getting. It doesn't matter. The point's still fine, but interesting. We're getting a discrepancy.
San Antonio 9.3.
We're looking different places apparently.
Yeah, I got the official here. So, anyways, this is a great steal matchup for them. So Burks is going to be fine, but like the Durant, it probably makes the most sense, and Bogdanovich probably makes the most sense from like a ceiling. I think Bojan at this ownership should be the number one play. Killian Hayes is good. Burks is fine. I prefer Killian over Burks, and you can play beef stew, and you can play Durant.
Can I play like 2 and 2 on 11 gamer? I can play 2 and 2. I can do that, right? The guys are cheap enough.
Definitely.
Yeah. Can I play 5 or 4? We're capping it at 4.
You could play 5 in this game. They're all cheap.
Yeah.
What's the highest price on this squad? They're
6.8.
They're all cheap.
And Big Bobby, I'm going to get him most likely. And he looks like the best play, obviously. TJ Warner in. Thank you, Mr. Richard in chat. Yeah, this feels like you can get stars. Like a star and then stack Detroit to San Antonio feels like an interesting route to go, like 4 or 5 players in this game. Bobby, anything else we should stress as far as this game? It's clearly one of the most interesting ones on the board.
People like Ivy, he's going to be like completely unowned, right?
My favorite play is beef stew.
Yeah, I like it. We got to pick up the pace a little bit here.
Who did he almost fought Draymond the other night?
He wanted to kill LeBron last year. Was it last year or this year? I think it was last year.
I love that. Yeah.
He was running. Like he was not scared of LeBron. And then I think they were supposed to meet again, but like somebody was ruled out. I can't remember who it was, but did not play the game. I don't know if they've seen each other since, but yeah, he's got some fight in him for sure. Don't mess with beef stew. Charlotte, this is a team that has no fight in them. The Hornets are 10-point dogs versus the Bucks. 232 is the total here. If this game stays close, and if it's just a 10-point game, I guess Giannis should absolutely, whatever your additive a choice is, smash, pummel. Like there ain't nobody on that Charlotte Hornet team that's going to subdue Giannis. How they expected to go? I'm not certain if he's going to draw the start today. They are getting a lot of their body parts back. George Hill's available. Jingle and Joe is available. Don't matter, but Middleton's still out. That's the only one that's basically still out for Milwaukee. Otherwise, they have a ton of dudes. Charlotte is going to be without Gordon Hayward, most likely not officially ruled out. He is doubtful. Oubre, of course, out for a bit with his hands. Bobby, if this game stays close, man, Giannis can annihilate here. I guess we can find a way to pay for him, sure. We talked about liking LeBron already. He's more expensive than LeBron if you have one big spend. How do you feel about Giannis? Because he's not popping as far as optimals. That's where we're at right now.
I think I prefer him to LeBron, which I think will go counter to the rest of the industry. But I think Drew Holiday at 8,100, he's going to see a minutes increase. They sat him on the back-to-back. The minutes increase is coming, so if this game does stay close, I think he makes some sense. You can punt it with Grayson Allen. There's not much I like. There's really not a ton, right? You got to hope this game stays close. I do think in tournaments you could take the shot on Giannis. On the other side, Gordon Hayward's doubtful. Should open up some Jalen McDaniels, PJ Washington minutes just on the wing there. So I don't know. I feel like you can get those and like those guys in 150, but the real two plays that I'd consider is like LaMelo and Giannis, and that's it. Maybe in Drew. I should throw Drew in there.
Kirkwood?
Yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm on Giannis tonight. I think he actually, he had the entire team on his back in that last game and played 40 minutes. He's coming off of massive minutes, 42, 38, 37, 40. He needs a rest. He's probable, but he's been on the injury report with a left knee soreness. So I think Drew back helps him in this one. I think like, I think he'll be a little bit, I don't think the ceiling will be as high in this game. And because I don't think Charlotte is very good. And I don't think this is going to be a very competitive game. Now, if it is a competitive game and they need Giannis for 40 minutes against Charlotte, he should absolutely nuke, right? So I get it. I'm just playing the other angle. And so I'm probably going to be off of him a little bit and think that they take care of business. The one guy I do like, although this isn't the best matchup for him, I like Jalen McDaniels now with Hayward out, with Kelly Oubre out. He's just solid. Like, he gets the defensive stats. He has a little bit of offensive game. Showed 24% usage in the last game, which is high for him for sure, but like does flirt with that in a bunch of games. I think he's a guy you can fill out your lineups with and just feel fine, especially on like a Yahoo or Fanduel. He gives you the defensive stats that are so important. But overall, I just don't really like this game.
There's some playout risk, but I would just say that the blowout risk, I would say Rozier on FanDuel, 6'5", seems a little bit too cheap for Terry Rozier. Don't hate him on FanDuel specifically.
Do you think Drew's minute? This probably isn't the spot for Drew if this game doesn't stay close, but when do these minutes increase?
I know he's played 18 minutes in the last 4 or 5 games. He missed 4 or 5. It was an illness, right? He was coming back from. Red flag, of course, doesn't start. Then I just wouldn't play him at all. If he does start, I guess he's in the pool, I suppose. But you're also not getting a discount. He's 8-1. Like, you're not getting any sort of built-in discount.
Yeah,
I'm probably not playing him. I
like the McDaniels call for what it's worth.
All right, let's continue. Washington, OKC, 231 is the total. Washington, 1-point dog here. Bradley Beal. No Bradley Beal tonight. OKC, Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y is out. Jalen with an LEN is in. Just to be clear, there's 2 Jalen Williams on OKC. Besides Beal, that's it. Well, Taj Gibson is questionable. He's got a groin. OKC, otherwise, Poku's been out for a while. Still out. Same deal with JRE. Kuzma, Porzingis, they will rise in the absence of Beal. Gafford's pretty cheap. They play the double bigs here against OKC. OKC, not a team suitable to defend bigs. You can't pick on Poku anymore, but still, their other defensive players aren't spectacular. We're projecting Muscala, the Moose, to draw the start, not necessarily known for his defense. Kirkwood, this is kind of one of those sneaky interests that I think it's going to be mostly ignored. Should it be?
Oh, I like this game a lot.
Yeah.
I think it should be competitive. I like that Beal's out. I think whatever that game against the Celtics was a complete anomaly. That was like ridiculous. But I think this one will be competitive. And this one's like my second favorite right under the Detroit San Antonio game. So I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander absolutely nuked this team. The last time they played, he went for 62 fantasy points, 42 real points, took 22 shots in that game. Fire him up in this spot. I also think that could be a big game for Porzingis. I just don't see that it's a little risky at Porzingis's price, but I don't think that they can stop him. And obviously you can play Kuz. Gafford is a good play tonight because he's cheap. He's been chugging along, playing 25 to 30 minutes in that range, has been putting up stats in every game. This is another really solid matchup for him. They don't really have anybody down low now with they're missing JRE and now Jalen with the Y is out. So who is it? It's going to be Muscala and who's going to be playing center in this one?
Kenrich, Baisley, there's not a lot there.
Yeah, they may go smaller and do the Kenrich thing that they do.
Rui, there's not a lot.
Yeah, so Gafford, solid play tonight.
Second best matchup, defense versus archetype for Porzingis. I think Zinger is an awesome play. On FanDuel, Kuzma's got a pretty good price if you're shopping around. 7-7 on FanDuel is pretty strong for Kyle Kuzma. Don't mind that. 8-4 on DK. You can play it, but less appealing for me. Bobby, interest of time, we can move on. Otherwise, feel free. You have anything to add that's worth pointing out because we do have several games, 4 games. Of course, we're going to hand it over to Crunch Time, and Crunch Time is going to do everything they need to do, whatever we miss. But if we can move on, happily do so. Or if you want to point something out, go for it. Is Bobby on mute?
Yeah. I'm on mute, sorry. Shea would be my favorite play, and then Porzingis. Rui is going to be someone I'm going to get to a little bit at 4-7. I like the tag on him. I think he sees 30-plus minutes, so I don't mind getting to Rui a little bit. I like Gafford a little more early in the day. I think you could play Gafford too at 4,600. Outside of that, maybe Avade sees a minutes increase. He's at 4,600, but I actually think I'd prefer Avade to Gafford. Rui would be my favorite in that range of the 3 by far, though.
If you guys are hanging out in chat, hit that like button. We appreciate that. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit all the things, hit all the buttons. That is appreciated. It keeps the proverbial lights on. Crunch Time crew, you got Andy Means, you got Kevin Roth, you got STL Cards coming in about 15 minutes or so. If you're playing cash games tonight, Andy's going to kind of sort of somewhat build your cash game lineup if you're paying attention. He's not going to spoon feed it to you, but just pay attention, just listen, and he'll basically steer you in the right direction. The Cavs are in Denver, 221, and of course, Cards will help you out with tournaments. 221 total for Denver versus Cleveland. Cleveland, no Donovan Mitchell. He's resting. He scored too many points the other night. Garland's got a thumb. He's questionable, so potential ton of usage opening up. Mitchell already out. Maybe Garland we'll see, but Garland was a shoot around. My guess is he plays, but that's just a guess. As far as Denver, we may see Jamal Murray play on the back-to-back, and we've not seen that all season long, I believe. He said he'll play. Of course, he played last night, but not a ton because they absolutely annihilated the Clippers. Maybe that's one reason why he will play tonight. We shall see. Jokic will not be owned very heavily tonight. We have a very cheap Jared Allen. I don't necessarily love the matchup, but, especially if we see no Garland, he would probably get some usage delegated his way, stay out of foul trouble, and he could be well positioned. Bobby, your thoughts as far as Cleveland and Denver? I know it's kind of dicey. It's, some if-then stuff, but what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of opportunity cost at center, so Jokic is going to be unplayed. I like Jokic. I think in tournaments you always get to him, right? Jamal Murray seen an increase. It's a tough spot versus Cleveland. Outside of that, wait 1 sec. Sorry, I lost my computer. He usually sits out the second half of the back-to-back, though, correct?
Yeah, this will be the first time, I believe, all season long he would play the back-to-back. But again, he didn't play a ton yesterday because of the blowout. So, and he said he was playing. I think it was his quote, but that could change. But as of right now, we're assuming he's in.
7K would be a really good price tag for Murray if he was getting full minutes. I feel like I'd say the first time they're doing it, maybe they limit him a little bit. The fact he didn't play a ton of minutes last night, if you want to take a flyer on him, it's fine. Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter at 5'9". I don't mind him on DK. Aaron Gordon played really well last night. There's not a lot here, though, with it being an 11-game slate. So I think the only play that I'd really have a ton of interest in is Jokic.
Our projections really like Allen for what it's worth. We're giving him 31% ownership, which I think that's too high, but he's going to be owned. Kirkwood, your thoughts?
For me, so Denver is an incredibly good matchup for point guards. And Jamal Murray defense is pretty bad, especially with him, suffering from a knee injury that he's been working back from. If Garland plays, I love Garland. I'm going to have to, roll the dice that his thumb is fine. I guess he's going to have it bandaged, but I think he's playing, right? He went through shoot around today.
I would guess he plays. And also when he came back from injury last time earlier in the year, they rolled him out for 40 minutes or so. I think it was an overtime game. Not expect minute restriction is kind of what it was going with.
Yeah, and so he's going to be low owned. This is a great spot for him. With Donovan Mitchell out, this is where you attack, and he's willing to put the usage on his shoulders. So I like him. I like Karis LeVert. LeVert's price is nice. He's struggled some throughout the season, but he's in a nice little groove right now. Besides, 3 out of his last 4 games has been really solid. Playing huge minutes in his last 4 games, 35, 37, 39, 38. Garland back isn't going to affect him because Donovan Mitchell's out. So give me LeVert, sure. And I don't know. I'd probably – Allen I think is fine. Mobley's fine. I think it's a good spot for Mobley. I'd rather play Mobley than Allen.
All right, fair enough. A little bit cheaper for Mobley. Clippers, Minnesota, 224.5 is the total. Hard to really gauge what to do with this one right now. Clippers, after getting embarrassed last night on the back-to-back, they have some players that are questionable this evening. No surprise, it is the Clippers. So Wall, I assume, is back because he didn't play yesterday. But Paul George and Kawhi are both questionable. George with a legit hamstring, apparently. Kawhi just, rests back, never plays back-to-backs. Batum is out also. Minnesota, Naz Reid is questionable with his back, and that's basically the only important one. Of course, Cat is still out. There are still plenty of bodies, I think, for the Clippers. Is it? What are we doing here? Are we waiting with lineups to, what if Kawhi and George are out and you're going to pounce on somebody here, Kirkwood, or is it just not that good enough to wait for, a situation that potentially might open up?
Yeah, I don't really care. What's the best situation in your head, what's the best situation that it could be? One of Paul George or Kawhi is out?
Well, both could sit.
Okay, so then who are you going to play?
Zubac's got a really fair price at $5K. The thing is that Lou historically goes small against Gobert, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if he can. If both those guys are out, they would probably need Zubac to be, a force to score to some degree. Arjax at 4-3 theoretically could be interesting. Powell maybe.
So what's the best? You think in this game, what's the best way what would break the best for you? Which would you prefer?
I want everybody in, and I want to ignore it.
Okay, that's fine.
What about you, Bobby? I don't hate the game. I hate the Clippers. They're annoying. They still have plenty of guys, right? It seems like I think they do. 4-3.
Yeah. I feel similar to you guys. I don't want to deal with this Clippers situation. I feel like a lot of people have that same sentiment, though, after last night when they completely just Kawhi sat and everyone had backloaded for that situation. Well, at least I did. So that wasn't any fun. Naz Reid is questionable. If Naz Reid played at 5,200, I would have some interest. I think Gobert's tag at 6,400 is fine. And Edwards at 9-1, I don't mind, but it's a big slate. A lot of plays. That's pretty much it. And in terms of I think you're right. It would be Zubac that gets the biggest increase. But if they do go small, then
Man's 3.8. They have guys that are really cheap. Covington is 3K. Kennard's. I don't know who's going to play. And I'm thinking if both those guys are out, then something gets interesting because they're just crazy cheap.
I feel like I'd like Man at 3.8, Reggie Jackson at 4.3, Norm Powell at 4.8. He got pulled last night too. I don't think he played much in the fourth, or if he did, he didn't do anything for my teams. I feel like Kirgy kind of I don't want to deal with all this Clippers nonsense.
No, I'm just curious as what's the best case scenario. If one of Paul George or Kawhi Leonard plays.
Well, if Kawhi sits, then I think George is interesting.
Yeah, I'm saying one of they've got to shoot up a little bit. No,
definitely.
What about
I think
Minnesota?
they'd shoot up.
Nobody's really popping for Minnesota. You could play Edwards if you want, but there's nobody popping in the Minnesota side, as far as I can tell.
Edwards and Gobert would be the guys that I think Rudy's great in this guy. I think he should clean up all the boards in this one. And if Naz is out again, that solidifies big minutes for him. So I would keep an eye on that news. So, he's going to be played tonight, and I think he should be played. Edwards is kind of the guy that can go off for the ceiling. But, I think you want one or both of Kawhi and Paul George to play to feel confident about this game.
Crunch time crew coming in a couple minutes. Let's knock these last two out. Miami, Phoenix, Miami Heat in Phoenix. They gave us some late tags today. This is the second half of the ESPN doubleheader, I believe. Hero is questionable now with the back, midday downgrade. Caleb Martin, doubtful with his quad. Of course, Duncan Robinson's going to be out for a while with his finger. Phoenix, Campaign still out. Booker, of course, still out. Cam Johnson still out. Nothing really, must-play territory here. Bobby, what do you have? 14% for Chris Paul is interesting. Don't hate that price. Don't love that price. But if you land on it, so be it. Nobody else beyond that. There's some guys in the low teens. Shamet, Ayton, Craig. The Miami stuff, of course, could change if we get Hero and Martin out. A lot of usage go around. A lot of minutes go out with both those guys. Maybe Oladipo could be interesting. He's playing a ton of minutes of late just because he'll be on the court a lot. Bobby, what do you got to do your best guesstimation of what we're going to have here with Miami and Phoenix?
Yeah, Chris Paul at 7'6", I don't mind, like you said. I think in this situation, like, he's fine. I take him or leave him. We have him for 14%. I think I could be slightly over if I was playing 150. And then on the other side, like, it's pretty much Paul, but Landry Shamet, and I think you could make a case for Torrey Craig also as like punts on DK, but I think I like other value better currently.
Quick thoughts, Kirkwood?
Hero out definitely matters. I agree with you. I think Oladipo is probably the way to play it. Kyle Lowry is a guy who sees a 3% usage increase with him off the floor, but I think we need, like, for Lowry to really go off, I think we need Butler out. But I think Depot's price is cheap enough that he's probably the guy that, and like you said, he's been playing a bunch of minutes, and he's turned it on in the last few games. So Depot is the play for me if Hero's out.
Last game of the night, the Hammer, 10:30 Hammer, Lakers at home versus Atlanta. Big boy total, 242, high and tight, 3-point dogs. Lakers, of course, are going to be without several players. No Troy Brown. None that really matter individually, but as a whole, on the whole, if we put them all together, Lonnie Walker's got that knee. Austin Reeves, he's popped with a hamstring. They just signed Sterling Brown. I think he's going to get some run. We'll see. They called up a person named Cole Swider. I don't know who that is, but apparently he'll be wearing a Lakers jersey tonight. And Scottie Pippen. I guess they made some call-ups that I missed out on. I thought they only had 10 guys. All right, Atlanta is going to be
Scottie Pippen?
The Scottie Pippen.
Wow.
Yeah, Scottie with a Y. And the Atlanta Hawks are still without Capella. We've seen Collins drive of late. So as long as he stays out of foul trouble, he's been really, really good. Trae Young, another star that's going to be relatively ignored. Crunch Time crew, I'm sure, is knocking on the door quickly. But Kirkwood, we've mentioned LeBron a couple times throughout the show. This is a rematch of like his birthday game where he absolutely annihilated. Is there any reason to think why he's not going to get all the usage in the world? Or you think like Juan Toscano Anderson is going to take 20? That's probably not going to happen. No. Papev, no. Yeah, it's going to be LeBron. Yep.
I'm not expecting much out of Cole the Spider Swider. But I do think this is a game we want to play, right? Like, first of all, I mean, this Lakers team is decimated. Though we got to trust in Vegas and see that this line is small, right? With Atlanta only -3 points in LA helps it. These teams play fast. They're I think they're both like in the top 7 in pace this season. LeBron is an easy play. I guess the only worry would be if like the Lakers are just awful tonight, but as long as they're competitive in this game, everything should be on his shoulders, legitimately everything. And he's been playing huge minutes, and he really played well in these last couple of games. One of them against Atlanta, where he just went for 76 fantasy points against. And we saw in that game 130 to 121. So like that's the kind of points we're looking at, from a total perspective, and then with these two high-paced teams. So it should be pretty good. Trae is obviously awesome. John Collins is probably my favorite just because of his price, and he's starting to play well. This is like, who's going to bang with him and on the Lakers? Thomas Bryant is really soft. I like Thomas Bryant from the Lakers. He's probably my second favorite Laker behind LeBron. And I don't know. I mean, so it's Schroeder. I think actually is going to play a ton of minutes and is cheap and is good.
Red game?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure the crunch time crew is coming in here momentarily. Bobby, you have quick thoughts as far as the Lakers in Atlanta?
Yeah, LeBron's a fantastic play. Schroeder's in play. John Collins, I don't know. Is John Collins like seeing center minutes? But he's like with Capella out, I feel like he's played well recently. His price tag's come up a little bit, but I don't mind getting to some Collins. Trae Young's going to be low owned in a good matchup. I think you can make a case there, especially just having all that Lakers value that you're going to have on the other side, or just Lakers chalk on the other side. I think it makes sense to get to some Hawks if you want. I know you want it to happen organically, but you can make a case if you see it. I wouldn't mind playing a little game stack here. And then, what do you think for Juan Toscano-Anderson's minutes? I like Thomas Bryant too, by the way. I'm just saying, do you think he sees an increase here if he start? Like, what are they doing with his minutes?
Those minutes are bad minutes.
They're bad minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you want any part. You don't want any part of Juan, the JTA. I can't imagine. He probably doesn't close. I don't think we haven't seen him closing. I don't think you want any part of that. I was going to check. I'm trying to find. It's like you use it.
I think he's playable.
Do you think he's playable? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why do you think he's playable though?
Because Troy Brown's out now. It's like they just. I mean, and Reeves is gone. It's like well, he's at least an NBA player.
Well, Russ is going to close, right? So what starter?
And Russ is banged up. Russ has had a bad foot and has looked.
So JTA has a 10% usage, which is horrific, and 0.58 DK points per minute. And he's you need.
Yeah, but he's an NBA player with a body that's probably going to play decent minutes.
No, he might play more minutes than Cole Spider, whatever that guy is.
Is Kendrick Nunn still?
Yes, he is a Laker. Yes, I don't think you want to play him, but yes, he's there.
What the heck? How did he fall so hard?
He overachieved with
Toscano-Anderson for 24 minutes currently.
There's a Cole Swider on the screen, by the way. If you're curious who Cole Swider was, there's a proof of life.
It's a baller right there.
Yeah. I don't know where the crunch time crew is. Is there a hold up here, producers? Have they been in the wings the whole time just waiting for? No. I've not been aware, but
Kevin Roth had some legal trouble after giving out his felony report of fake ID scandals that I heard while I was driving.
There we go. There you go. It was a minor felony as far as felonies go. This was low end felony for what it's worth.
But still a felony,
Yeah, well, technically. I didn't even go to jail. I didn't even get handcuffed. They just wrote me in a book and they're like, all right, go on your way, kid.
That beats I got arrested for noise violation in college too. That's like the worst. That's the worst of. I mean, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Noise violation.
What were you doing? I got arrested for.
I threw a party. Is what.
Were you DJing?
Maybe allegedly.
We found out that Kirkwood's a DJ. I don't know if you guys know this.
No, he is not. He was. In college.
What was your DJ name? Was it DJ
Kirk?
I had a symbol like Prince.
Andy Means STL Cards joining us as well. Hey Andy, a quick question, hot take. Which do you prefer, season 1 or season 2 of the White Lotus?
I saw your little Twitter poll. I did not vote yet. I've been thinking about what I want to do. I would say I think I'm on season 1 just because I loved the blonde girl so much. Big fan of her. The daughter.
Well, way to give away that she was murdered at the end. Way to give it away, Meansy.
What do you mean? What did you just do? I was gonna go watch it.
One thing I can't stand are spoilers.
How did I spoil anything?
Stand for that. Meansy spoiled.
How did I spoil something?
Rob just spoiled it.
I've never seen the show. I'm messing with it. I have no idea what happened.
I just said I like the girl, whoever Coach Taylor's daughter is in that show in the season 1.
There you go. Season 2 in the lead, by the way, currently in the poll for what it's worth, 37% to 28%. A lot of people just wanted to see the results for no particular reason. But we got anything else, boys? It's an 11-game slate. The people want to hear a good breakdown from Cards and from Andy as well. Kirkwood, tell us what you're DJing this weekend. We'll show up for sure. We're happy to support you. Anything else you want to let the people know?
No, check out our Bobby JSU and my pod coming tomorrow for football, our last week. It's going to get a little spicy, week 18. And I'll see you guys Sunday morning.
Lineup HQ is free, by the way. If you guys not get the messages at the top of the show, check out Lineup HQ. It's free for football this weekend, the last week 18. Of course, myself, Bobby, and Kirkwood will be talking football 10:30 in the morning on Sunday. That's it. Myself, Bobby, and Kirkwood. We appreciate y'all watching the first portion here. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and hang out with Roth and Andy Means and STL Cards. Roth, take it away.
Appreciate it, Dino. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time, and it is sponsored by Fanduel. And I am joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. One, Mr. Andy Means Business, joining us. Means, I appreciate how you saw Dean's poll and you mulled it over. You didn't just leap to a conclusion here. Season one, season two. You've been thinking about it, chewing it over for hours.
And now I'm definitely going to vote season one because all you a-holes started getting on me for something I didn't do. And it's losing in the poll, according to Dean. So I will, while you introduce cards right now, I'm going to go vote on it.
And that is why we trust you, because you don't just jump to some random choice, whether you're
I'm
talking
methodical,
shows.
Rob.
Exactly.
I'm methodical.
That is why you are a cash game hero, Andy Means. By the way, you and I feel like we're on fire lately. We were talking about who was it that crushed on Wednesday now?
The Brunson burner?
Yeah, but there was another one that we called that. Oh, it was Joe Val.
Did he crush? I don't remember.
Yeah, of course he crushed.
Oh, yeah.
That's all he does.
There we go.
It's all he does when he's priced down. We got STL Cards as well. Cards, how are you, good sir?
Doing fine. Last night was kind of a wonky night with a billion blowouts, and I don't know. I think the Clippers might have lost by 60. I fell asleep before it was over, but they were basically being doubled up. They were being doubled up like 66 to 26 or something when I fell asleep. So, and the Celtics beat down Dallas last night. So it was only a 4-game slate, and 2 games were massive blowouts. That always throws things off. And it was pretty much a night that you can just throw in the trash bin and move on. Not really much that you could have done if you followed the projections last night. It was one of those follow the process over the results kind of nights, and we'll move on to tonight. Hopefully tonight's slate's a little more exciting. Should be based on how it's looking.
Right. Well, that's the thing about DFS is that you can make all the right plays, but if something stupid happens, there's no saving you there. But we get another shot at it, another crack at it tonight, and I'm excited. It's Friday night. I want to get some money in. I'm going to put in like $6-7 tonight, be a high roller. So means if you don't mind kind of walking me through this slate, tell me what's been going on.
Well, a ton of like really good players have been ruled out that we've known about it for a while. So nothing like moving lately. Embiid's out, Zion's out, Beal's out, Booker's out, Capella, AD, Donovan Mitchell, RJ Barrett, Ingram, Middleton. Like that's a lot of good players. Waiting on a couple Q tags late with Kawhi and Paul George.
Well, imagine that. The Clippers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just don't even want to talk about them. Can they just literally be like, I want to just perma exclude them from lineup HQ, at least when it comes to content. I hate talking about them. Sorry. For some reason, my phone just thought I said Siri or something.
Try again means.
Yeah.
Try again with the Clippers means.
That's base. What in the world is going on? Jesus, I gotta like turn my freaking phone off.
Throw it out of the door. Yeah, just throw it away.
I need a new phone anyways. This is a great excuse to just throw it against the wall. This could not be more appropriate for the freaking Clippers. Anyways, Darius Garland and the Cavs. He's Q. We don't have a what if for him last I looked, just because we're basically assuming that he's missed the last 3 games, but they're resting Donovan Mitchell tonight, so logical minds would conclude that they're only resting him because Garland's due to return. So that's what we're thinking is going to happen. If Garland is out, I think that game starts 2 hours after lock, but then we'd be looking like Karis LeVert and a bunch of other Cavs. So that's the main stuff we're waiting on, in my opinion. And I know the guys were just talking about like Hero being Q for that later game tonight as well. So not a lot of moving pieces we're waiting on, believe it or not, with 11 games.
Very good. I like it. Okay, well, let's dive right into a little FanDuel cash build, if you don't mind. Means quick note, make sure you sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're in a legal sports betting state, they have a great bonus offer going on. New customers get the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply, but make sure you're checking that out. Means, how are we making the money in a little FanDuel here today?
Starting with the Brunson burner, man. Love him again. He played 40 minutes again, like I was talking about. Tibbs, with Barrett out, Tibbs wants to play in 40 minutes. Like, quick. Remember when I was poo-pooing quickly? Remember when I was poo-pooing quickly the other night based on what he's out there with Randall and Brunson? Well, guess what? It's pretty easy to score some fantasy points when you're out there for 45 and a half minutes. So
That's amazing. It's such a
Tibbs rested for 2.5 minutes. So it's like that made me look smart. Yeah, of course I could score fantasy points if I played 45 and a half minutes. I would like keel over, but I would still score a couple of them first.
You splash a 3 or 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I love Brunson again on FanDuel at 7.8. I love McCollum at 8.4. Those are probably my 2 favorite spend ups. Then getting a little cheaper, I like Trey Jones at 6.1, Killian Hayes at 6K. Slightly prefer Trey. I'm guessing people will ask that. And then there's like a couple other guys actually in that range too that are okay. Melton and Simons, they're both 6.2. But that's definitely the guys I like. Brunson and McCollum are my first 2 there. Some other shooting guards. You have McCollum there. Edwards at 8.8. Yeah, that's about it. Most of the guys I talked about have point guard, shooting guard. So let's move to small forward. I have 2 small forwards tagged here in lineup HQ, Najee and Keldon Johnson. Vassell's out for the Spurs, and they're playing the second worst defense in the league. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of Spurs content today for good reason too. So Keldon's just a little underpriced for life without Vassell. I think he's averaged, it was like 37, 38 FanDuel points per 36 minutes in the 8 games without Vassell. We have him at like 34. And again, good matchup. Let's see here. Tobias at 6'6". Love him. Oh, actually, I wanted to just point out, like, the small forward, power forward are like have some of my favorite plays on the entire slate. The 2 guys I have tagged. Then you have Kuzma at 7'7" without Beal. And then you have Tobias 6'6" without a beat. Like, those are 4 really, really good plays. I've had plenty of builds where those guys fill the 4 forward positions. I don't think that's silly to even consider, honestly. So those are my 4 favorite across both of those positions. A handful of other cheap guys I could run through, like Sohan's pretty cheap. He's 5'1". You have Slow-Mo at 5'4". But yeah, those are my 4 favorite ones. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, and then John Collins I really like as well. So we have him at 34 minutes. He's played 40 the past 2 games. One of those was OT or double OT. The one most recently was not. That was regulation. So I don't know if that's. I mean, obviously you're not going to project him for 40 minutes, but knowing that that's in the range of outcomes is a big deal. Again, we have him at 34, and he has power forward center, so you can use him at either. Like, if you want to go with those 4 forwards I just mentioned, put him at center, and you're looking pretty good. So then you have some Cavs who are looking okay now, and they're going to look even better if Garland's out. Mobley at 6'8", Jared Allen at 7'4". I wrote up a prop I really like this morning on scores and odds for Allen. Let's hope that one hits. I put 2 units on it. Yeah, that's good for power forward. And then center, probably kind of going, the mid-tier range. You have Collins there. I mentioned you have Jakob Poeltl at 6'5" as well. You have Mobley at 6'8". I already talked about him. Then, like, the 2 guys I feel like I've been talking about for a month, Nyeka Okongwu at 6'2" and Thomas Bryant at 6'3". They're just always in the mix, just kind of his last piece sort of things for obvious reasons, like with Capella being out and AD being out. Prices aren't nearly as good as they were. I'd much rather play Poeltl. Yeah, I think that's it. If you're spending up on this slate, I want to spend up at guard, maybe like an SGA. I didn't mention him. Maybe LeBron at forward. But like the thing that's like I didn't really talk about is that there's no like just clear plays. Like looking at lineup HQ, we have RG value column, and there's one of them that's like basically in the dark green category, like the one that's like blinding your eyes when you pull up lineup HQ. Like on FanDuel, it's a little looser pricing site. You usually, especially on an 11-game slate, you usually have like 5 or 6 guys that are like really, really clear, good plays for the dollar, and we just don't have that tonight. So it's kind of where I'm going with that is I think it's basically like a balanced build. Like when I have my 3 core plays in here, we have like 6 spots left, and the average remaining salary per player is 6'7". So like a lot of those guys I mentioned at forward, like you have a 7'7" guy, you have a 5K guy. Like I think that's kind of the range you're gonna be building tonight.
Okay, and that's what I noticed as you were going through that. So as I move it over to cards here, I'm curious, cards. There are so many mid to upper tier guys that seem really good that I don't know if anyone's going to be reaching up for the studs, the priced up guys who are capable of dropping 80, 90 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough slate to do that because there are so many good like 6K-ish plays that the more balanced approach tends to be the way people are leaning tonight. And I do kind of think that is optimal because, not that I don't think any of the studs can go off. They certainly can. But, trying to pick out those two guys in the 4K range tonight, I think is so much more difficult when you consider that the 6K lineups are, they just look a lot better. They round out a lot better. So I think it's one of those weird nights where you can kind of play the guys that project the best, even in GPPs. With the exception of maybe at a couple of the forward spots where we do have a couple of really chalky plays. But even like all the guards, because it's such a large slate and there's not a whole lot of standout point per dollar values like Ameansy mentioned, you've just got a lot of guys that are around 20% ownership. So I don't think you need to go super crazy, super off the board, even in your tournament builds tonight. Take some stands on some guys that you like and, don't worry about ownership maybe as much as you would on at a normal slate when there's tons of value on these bigger slates. So you can certainly stack games as well. I mean, I think the Charlotte-Milwaukee game is an interesting stack that's not going to have much ownership at all in GPPs. Obviously, Detroit and San Antonio, even though the totals are about the same, maybe a few points higher, Detroit and San Antonio will have a lot more ownership just because of the way the pieces fit together. And you see in Portland, Indiana, like those are the three kind of higher total games that I think you target for GPP stacks. But otherwise, I think you can kind of build it like your cash game builds and then take a stand maybe on one or two guys. So, like I'm with Meansy, I like Brunson a lot tonight. The minutes are just hard to ignore, and he's only about 20% ownership. That's less than DeRozan. That's less than Hayes. That's less than Hart. It's less than Rozier. It's right around guys like Lillard and Edwards. So, I don't think you need to get mega cute with those mid-range plays. I will play some of the chalkier guys that I like better than the others. So Brunson, Trey Jones at 6,100 kind of jumps to the top of my list. Melton is maybe the one guy I'd be underweight on in GPPs. I know Meansy put in his article earlier that he'd take the under on 23% owned, which I kind of agreed with. Now we got him at like 28, which is even higher yet. And that, I don't know, that just seems he's not grading out all that well. Negative RG value and 28% ownership. He's the guy that maybe I'll take an underweight stance on there at the guard spots. Otherwise, I'll get plenty of Brunson, Trey Jones, fine with the Portland guys as well in a good matchup. DeRozan at shooting guard. I think you can play those guys even in GPPs tonight. And then maybe you just take a stance on one of the chalkier forwards. So the two chalkiest plays, Keldon Johnson and Najee Marshall. Maybe instead of playing Marshall, maybe you play Trey Murphy for $100 less. I mean, Marshall projects, 3.5 points higher, but you're getting 20% ownership on Murphy versus 51 on Marshall. So maybe Marshall's the guy you go underweight on in GPPs at 50% ownership, and then that's kind of your bold stance that you take. That's probably the way that I would approach it. And then you can pivot. I like Jared Allen as well. Sohan, if you're looking for a cheaper piece from that San Antonio game, his ownership has climbed just a bit, but I think he's fine too. So kind of in lockstep with Meansy on the plays, and I think the approach for tournaments is, it can be somewhat similar to a cash game build. Just take a few pieces that maybe you want to take a stand on. And then it's interesting, if you look at center, not a whole lot of standout options at all on a point per dollar basis, but if you just short by smash percentage, which theoretically you're looking for in tournaments, Okongwu actually has the highest smash percentage on the board at center at 6,200. So I like him in tournaments as well at 12% ownership. If you can get up to Siakam, that's fine. Jokic, didn't have to play a ton of minutes last night. Certainly okay at any time he's under 5% owned in GPPs if you can get there. But center is maybe the one spot that maybe you look to differentiate with a lower owned play tonight because the position isn't necessarily loaded at the top.
Okay, very good. Means let's kick things over to DK here. We've got 15 minutes left, so walk me through a build It does seem like there's some differences here, at least as I just glance at some of the tags.
Yeah, DK is a little weird because the Spurs are much cheaper on DK, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really have a good feel for who I really want to tell you to play besides Keldon.
Right.
Because like number 2 and 3 would probably be like 2 Spurs again. Like it would be like probably Josh Richardson at 3.9. It would be Pirtle and Trey Jones. Those guys are both under 6K. Like those are really good price tags. And again, really good matchup. And they are favorites against the Pistons. So yeah, so basically I'll go through positions here, but that's like generally why I just wanted to mention why I don't have many guys tagged on DK, just because I think you're just playing 3 or 4 Spurs and then going from there. So guard, let's just talk point guard first, just because shooting guard's kind of gross. So I already mentioned Trey Jones. He's one of my favorites. You have Killian Hayes at 5'5", right below him, kind of similar to what I said over on Fanduel. I slightly prefer Trey Jones. Then working your way up, you have like Chris Paul at 7'6". Tough matchup, yeah, but no Booker, no Payne, no Cam Johnson. So I think that's still a good price tag for cash games. Brunson at 7'9", McCollum at 8'5". I'm most likely going to try to stay in that range. Then you have Quickly again at 6'3". We have him at 38 minutes. I will reiterate, he played 45.5 last game, so obviously some room up on that one. Yeah, so that's generally what I'm looking at. I don't think you're spinning up at point guard. Shooting guard, maybe, just because I don't like the options that much. Like Harden is grading out really well for us, but not like so well that you got to have him in. He's 10-1. So like if you're spinning up at all on this slate, it's probably him. But you can work your way down. You have Quickly there. Then it's basically like I always say, basically trying to get out as cheap as possible from a position when there's nothing I really like. I mean, obviously realistic options. And that would be Alec Burks at 5K. He's on the other side of that Spurs game for the Pistons. And then Mathurin for the Pacers at 4.5. Those would be the two I'm looking at if you're just trying to do what I'm doing and trying to get out as cheap as possible. So that is what I would mention. Either spend up or get out cheap. Let's go to small forward where you have Keldon there. You have Josh Richardson there. Najee is like the last piece maybe, but I think you're not really doing anything here except for those 2 Spurs. And then we're just talking about like last piece sort of things. One thing I will mention is LeBron. If you're not spending up for Harden, then I think LeBron is basically right there with him. And I don't think it's like definitely Harden either. I think those guys are, if you find something you like elsewhere that's cheaper, like then go LeBron, and you have the flexibility to do that with the either forward spot and then the forward and then the util. So I think he's one of the better spend up options. Like let me put it this way: if like LeBron had shooting guard eligibility, I'd tell you to play him over Harden. But positional stuff obviously matters. So
I get you.
It gets kind of tricky. So those are the main 3 guys I want to talk about: 2 cheap Spurs and then LeBron. Let's go to power forward real quick, so I know we're getting short on time here. I did mention that small forward, I do like DeRozan. I just don't think it's the slate for him as far as cash games. He's 8'8", projects really well, but I just don't like the lineup build with him. I still want to just kind of go cheap here. You have Tobias. I didn't mention him at small forward either, 6'6". You have Mobley at 6'1". You have Zohan at 4'6" for the Spurs. Those are probably the guys I would be looking at. And kind of when you think about it, minus Sohan, like there's no Spurs here at this position. So maybe this is like you play LeBron here at the power forward and you spin down for like Burks at shooting guard instead of going the Harden route. So I like that. I like those 2 options. And then center, I really like Pirtle. I really like Jared Allen. Those are my 2 favorites. Then past those guys would be Ayton, Vooch, Gobert. Yeah, just a bunch of names to rattle off. But I really like Pirtle and Allen at center.
Okay, very good. I got this note from Derek in the chat, and I haven't verified this, but he says Langford starting for Vassell. Is that what we had projected? And are we intrigued?
I don't think we had that projected. Yeah, we did have that projected. Not intrigued. No, wait. I'm sorry. I honestly don't. Let me see. I'm going to refresh. I thought no, because Richardson came off the bench last time he played. I think we had it projected this way. Let's leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
right.
for that's real quick, just because this is important for people who may not be familiar. And I mean, we have the same thing for NFL when we're opening that up for free, which I think is already opened up for free. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the projections change log. So like if you go up to our projections up there, right at the top where it says NBA Premium Projections, there's a little info button. Click that info button, and you'll see a projection source log, and that shows like what this person went from 25 fantasy points to 27 fantasy points. So whenever you see news, and then you can use that like next to it and say, oh, okay, so they moved his projection 3 points because of this news, something like that.
We did have Langford starting, by the way.
That's what, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to note. Okay, Cards, real quick, anything that you are doing differently on DK as opposed to FanDuel, or is it a similar build to you where you're kind of hammering that mid-range?
Yeah, it is, but it's, maybe a little bit easier to take some stands on some of these guys. Like, don't play Patrick Williams in a GPP. I mean, the dude has had a sub 20% usage rate for 16 consecutive games. That's how I spent my time while Meansy was talking, calculating how many straight games Patrick Williams was under a 20% usage rate. I mean, there's just no point. There's no ceiling there. Like, yeah, he had 38 in the last game. That was his highest output of the season, and he was 6 for 8 from the floor and 3 for 4 from 3-point range, and he got 7 free throws. He hadn't taken a free throw in 8 games before that. So that was a clear outlier, and now he's 20% owned on DraftKings. I don't care if he's $4,000. X Patrick Williams out of your GPP pool, and there's one 20% guy gone. Like, even Richardson. I'm not as confident on, but, he's a guy that's going to have to score and is risky and not starting. But, I mean, it's just there's some risk there. So I feel more comfortable with Burks and Trey Jones and, those kind of guys. The Pelicans guys, I think, are fine. So just pick a couple of those cheaper, chalky guys and don't play them on DraftKings. And Williams would kind of be my guy. And in the interest of time now, we can go to questions.
Okay, very good, Cards. Let's scroll up just a wee bit. We're jumping in the RG Discord. Make sure you're joining us in there. It's where all the cool kids are hanging out. Let's see. Holy smokes, can I get a question? All right, there's a paragraph coming. First, DK Cash last piece means Tobias or Allen?
I think Tobias is just a little safer, but man, I like Allen tonight.
All right, here's the paragraph. This one is for you, Cards. FanDuel GPP from J Sams. I've got a lineup with Trey Jones, Killian Hayes, and Jay Rich. With that construction in mind, the 2v2 I'm considering are John Collins, Pat Williams, or Keldon and Grayson Allen.
Don't play Patrick Williams.
Well, there you go. Okay, does that make
I'm going to stand by that. Any question that includes Patrick Williams in a GPP, it's the other side. I don't care who you throw in there. Throw
I'm
Meansy
glad you
in there.
did that in the bud because there was like 3 more sentences that followed. So I'm glad we saved a little time there.
Ross, thank you, Cards.
Yeah, good work, Cards. Let's see. Steve-O says, I've seen Twitter buzz for Eugene Omayuri for OKC getting those Jalen Williams tonights. What do you think about that kind of dumpster dive, Cards?
What do we got him on? And okay, I got it. Let's see. We've only got him for 13 minutes right now, unless there's been additional news. I mean, the dude has barely seen the floor, so it's a no for me. But I hadn't really considered it. I'm not sure what this buzz is that he's mentioning, but can
Eugene's uncle.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. DK Cash with Jay Rich not starting, is he still the value that we want? Cards and tournaments, he's not the value you want. He's the dude I never want. Means, is he still the value you want in cash?
Yeah. Like we kind of ironed out there for a second ago. Like we were projecting that, so I don't think anything's changed in my mind.
Very good. All right. FanDuel GPP Cards, who's better tonight? Up and down DeRozan or consistent Kyrie? And calling Kyrie consistent just in life is hilarious, but fantasy points wise, I suppose that is true. Up and down DeRozan or consistent Kyrie?
Yeah, I mean, Irving's been playing great. I certainly think Irving is the better run back on some lineups if you've got some Pelicans exposure. I think he's a nice way to round out those tournament builds, and we've only got him at like 2%. So I like both of them in tournaments tonight, to be honest. But when you factor in ownership, I think Irving makes more sense.
Very good. Cards, I'm calling this one yours. DK is Duran at 4,900. Okay.
Yeah, he's okay. I like him better than some of those other value guys that are going to be fairly chalky on DK.
Okay, very nice. DK Cash, Richardson and Allen means, or Bay and Mobley?
First one.
Achilles says the only core on DK is Keldon. Yeah, that's accurate. But you gave a ton of good plays, so.
Yeah, my next two in would probably be Trey and Pirtle after that.
Okay, very good. Aside says, what are your thoughts on using an extra $300 to get to Pirtle? I don't know who he's got instead. Or would you rather Thomas Bryant? Oh, maybe that's who he has instead.
That's for me, it'd be Pirtle.
Yeah. Cards, do you feel differently there? Thomas Bryant v. Pirtle?
No, I like Pirtle a little better too. And Okongwu is kind of my GPP guy at center.
Okay. The best RG analyst contests for this show, is it Meansy and Roth or Cards and Patrick Williams? Cards, you have to answer that.
That's a trick question. That's trying to get me. I plead the fifth because I'm not going to incriminate myself.
King List says, what about Montrezl Harrell? Cards, any interest there?
Yeah, I think when we were on FanDuel, when I sorted the center by smash percentage, he was second behind Okongwu. So, I mean, it's never safe and it never feels comfortable, and you'll be, sweating it out. But yeah, I don't hate him in some GPPs.
Very good. Darren says, hey, means FanDuel Cash is 3 Spurs too many Spurs. I don't think it is. I think there's 3 that we like.
Oh, I don't think that's too many. No, definitely Keldon, definitely Trey. Pirtle's in there, Sohan's in there. J-Rich not as much on FanDuel, but yeah, I think 3's not a lot, not too many.
Yep. Okay. Cards. Cold Ink says, any love for Edwards? That would be Minnesota.
Yeah, he's certainly fine. Not priced through the roof. I think he's all right.
Solid actor as well. Just throwing that out there. NBA DFS, would Garland be a must if he starts without Mitchell? Great question.
He will not in cash games. No, it's just matchup kind of sucks a little bit.
I mean, even if he plays, you might be missing out on 5 or 6 minutes. They're not. I can't imagine. He missed 10 days or whatever. You just come.
Yeah, I talked about that. I talked about that briefly. Like, on one hand, it's like it's his thumb, so you think he can keep his wind up, but on the other hand, it's like his thumb and it's his dominant hand. So like, is it going to hurt his production? So like, there's probably a little too many, iffy things going on there to like really rely on that spend in cash. But I mean, he scored like 60 or 65 some fantasy points in one of the 3 games without Mitchell this year. So like, the ceiling is like there, but probably not for cash.
Okay, fair enough. DK Cash, LeBron or Harden means you discussed this. It would be LeBron if he was guard eligible, but he's not. Right? This is correct.
Yeah, I would probably. I think I've gotten to the point where I'd go LeBron and go like Burks at shooting guard or something.
Okay, very good. DK GPP cards. Less than a minute until lock, guys. K Williams for OKC or P-Bev in that util spot.
Neither really. I don't have a strong take.
I didn't realize that was Patrick Williams again. That's my bad. Oh no, it wasn't Patrick Williams. It was K Williams.
Yeah, it was K. Okay. I don't know. We've got. I suppose I'd take Williams, but I'm not playing either.
Okay, fair enough. FanDuel single entry: Maxi Schroeder or Melton Rozier.
Second one.
DK Cash, LeBron Harden. We just did that one. It's just it's LeBron by a hair. 4,400 or under. DK GPP cards. Last piece at the guard spot. A guard 4,400 or under.
Yeah, there's a few guys that project decently at 4,500. Yeah, really, Richardson's the only guy that makes a lot of sense. I think Dosunmu is okay, but I mean, he doesn't have a high usage rate either. It's a pretty rough price range there for the guards.
Okay. A couple questions here. One of these I really like here, but real quick. DK Cash means 2v2, Brunson P. Williams or Hayes and Jared Allen.
That's mean. Don't try to pit me against cards.
No, I don't care if you like Patrick Williams in cash. He just doesn't have a ceiling.
I just didn't know anyone at RG hated him more than me for fantasy purposes. So I would do the non-Patrick Williams one, and I love Brunson.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Okay. I like this question a lot. BHB says, means who would you prioritize in cash for DK if we get news that both Leonard and PG are out? Your facial expressions are so good. Like, I wish you could see the faces you make when I put these questions to you.
I hate the Clippers. My initial instinct is no one, honestly. Let me look at their prices.
Oh,
And a lot of it depends on probably Powell. I don't even know if I could say I'd prioritize him, but he's only 4-8 and he's been playing a little better lately, so I think it would be Powell.
Okay, very good. A few post-lock questions. Matt says, what happened to Wino Friday? It's a good question. I don't know.
I'm just trying to empty out the fridge.
Yeah. Oh. What do we got over here? Hang on. Oh, I don't know what that is, but it looks delicious.
Do you mute me on Twitter? Jeez.
No, I would never do such a thing.
I feel like I tweeted about it last week.
Oh, all right, I missed it. By the way,
he's like, yeah.
That's going to be my new phrase for I'm going to get drunk tonight is I'm just trying to clean out the fridge. That's I'm going to start saying that. My wife's going to be like, Kevin, are you drinking?
It goes over great, trust me.
Right, I'm just trying to clean out the fridge.
Ross going to come home with 10 different brands and say, hey, I got to clean out the fridge.
Organize this fridge. The only way is to just drink these stray beers. we have
That's what I do for leftovers too.
Yeah, just got to clean it out, man. Hey, with that, I think it is time to bounce on out of here. Before we do, this is an important note before we go. Make sure you check out, this is free content that is usually premium. Make sure you check out Lineup HQ. It is literally our greatest tool. It is the greatest tool in the industry. And I don't even think I'm being a homer by saying that. I think it is widely accepted as the tool that you use. So make sure you're checking out Lineup HQ. It is free this weekend. That includes today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's for NFL. So if you're making NFL lineups, check out Lineup HQ. You will not regret it. It's awesome. It helps so much. It's the same thing that we show here for NBA, only it's for NFL as well. So make sure you're checking that out. And then once you check it out, you'll be like, holy shit, this is awesome. I'm going to sign up. That's the goal, and I think it's going to work. With that, we are going to bounce on out of here. So for Means for Cards, for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.